started out as Project Dylan. We were just thinking for many years as we were finishing out the Mass Effect trilogy, we were just thinking about like, where should games go? One thing that we've always found is that like a shared experience is so important to a BioWare game. So we don't write stories about just one character. It's always about like being able to look over at your friend and see their reaction. And often it's, you know, an AI character, a fictional character. But that's the magic of something happens, and then you have these friends around you that have funny things to say. And then the other part of that was the best stories that people would tell us about playing our games were often that they were sitting on the couch with their friend or, you know, someone that they like to play games with, and they would be one person would be playing, but they would kind of be playing it together. And so it's sort of that couch co-op thing where they talk about what's going on and what we should do next and things like that. And it always felt like we should be able to bring those things together. Like if we make these amazing worlds, you kind of want to go into these worlds with your friends, if you want to. And then the idea of if you could go into a brand new world with your friends and then making a world that was constantly changing. So if you're in there and your friend isn't, and something amazing is happening, and it's happening to all players in the world in the game because it's so dynamic. You want to call your friends in, you want to tweet it or message them. It's like, you've got to come home so we can try this thing out. So it was those kinds of things that started the Anthem project in terms of where we really wanted to take games for our players. Well, the hardest thing you can do is fill a blank page. Like once you're rolling on something, then you can kind of say, well, I see what's there and I don't like this part, what if we did this? But when you're starting from nothing, that's the hardest thing. And that's what you're doing when you start a new IP. So the process that I started was, I built a way of pitching a game idea and an IP. And it was a specific format, and then everyone kind of built their pitch in that format so that then you knew how long it was going to take. You knew it had to solve for certain things that we were trying to do in our next game and kind of explain those things. But then you also had to kind of explain the premise of the IP, what you could kind of get to do, and you're hitting a few key points. But because it was all the same format, we were able to do many, many pitches and have people from all around BioWare and throughout the team pitching ideas. But then it wasn't about like, the art that was used or better storytelling in one versus the other. We were able to kind of compare them in an even way. And we did, you know, somewhere between 20 and 30 different original ones in the first pass. We would all go off and you're inspired by something, or you're you know, watching a movie on Friday night and you think, hey, I think I know how everything could be. And then you write that all out and you pitch it. And you know that even for yourself, it's like, I know it's not quite there, but I really like the essence of what I'm presenting. And it's really interesting because you can start to, first of all, you get a value system around what you like and what feels right. But then you also start to say like, okay, we liked this one part of this thing, but the rest of it really didn't work. But then we liked these other things of that, and those two actually sit really nicely together. That was the process we used to get off of the blank page. And then now we're working on something. We have material, which is a lot easier. It was really the idea of the unfinished world, and a world that, because the tools of the gods and the world state itself made a premise that was by definition chaotic and violent and dangerous and always changing. And then therefore, because that's the world that we were in, to be able to survive for like a second outside, you have to have these amazing suits. You have to have these exosuits that basically turn you into an archetype of a superhero when you put it on. And then we had kind of a neat gameplay hook in how you move and fight in a superheroic way due to the exosuits combined with this dangerous world that is constantly changing. And those two things together, that was kind of the essence of when we felt we had something. I will say it was a remarkable experience to be able to work on something and start a new IP with this team and then go away from it for a few years and do some other things and come back and kind of see where the team had gotten to. It did really work out quite remarkably well, because where we ended off when I was here working on Anthem in the beginning was we were at the stage of an IP where you start many, many ideas and many threads, and always in the beginning of a creative work, especially a new IP, the thing can be many different things at that point, and then you have to start narrowing it into what it needs to be. And I think the team did a really great job of narrowing it into something very specific. And then some of the work that we've done since I've been back is in really focusing that so that the experience is very honed on a certain tone for the IP and a certain experience for the player. One of the biggest surprises for me when I came back and we were able to kind of catch up on where the game had gone was the development of the IP, because it did start out as many things. It was kind of all the great ideas you could have about a science fantasy IP in one thing. But the team did a really great job of really narrowing it down to what I think is a really interesting hook, which is if you imagine, you know, an amazing science fantasy setting where a world has been created, but the gods that created the world vanished before they finished it. But they left their tools behind, the tools that have the power to shape the world. And so it creates a very chaotic world. It creates a world that has yet to be finished and determined. And then, of course, the power of that is in the hands of the player. And it enables us to do all the things that we want to do with the story, but also with the gameplay and the experience we're trying to deliver here. Well, you know, we've made some big games at BioWare, but Anthem is definitely one of the biggest, if not the biggest game we've made. And I think it has the biggest potential too, because we've built it in a way that is meant to be something that anyone can appreciate and anyone can play, and yet we're bringing these things that we think are so important to a game experience and a BioWare experience, in that you're going to get memorable characters and you're going to get the freedom to discover a new world, and there is that world out there with rich lore and things going on. I'm really happy with the journey that we're on. I'm really hopeful that people come along with us, try it out. We're still finishing the game up, so we always love to hear what people think, and we're just happy to have people come along with us and try it out when they get a chance.